Pathfinder, help me with something? I know, not exactly standard. Gotta make the space comfortable. Plus, the fabric diffuses the charge from an overclocked Omni blade. Not giving up a 6% boost, right?
Right. What?
Never mind. BS for the requisition. So, finally time for that beer? And after 2 years and a dozen suspensions, I took a lateral promotion out of the force. Being a cop just didn't fit. But crisis response? Digging people out of trouble? That worked. I bet Hustle followed you into a few peace actions. Think about your Alliance days much?
Tell me about your group.
Heavy Urban Search Terrain 1? Yeah. Earth's contribution to a multi-species disaster response unit. HUST-1, but Hustle looks much better on the patch. All civilians, retired vets, or shits like me. I was fiercely bearded. Tastes better just thinking about those days.
I wanted adventure and mystery at the edge of known space. There was so much to see. Seems like a long time ago.
600 years, give or take. So, Pathfinder. Why Andromeda?
That blunt, huh?
That blunt.
I hoped my Alliance career would lead to adventure, exploring, hunting dangers in the dark. Didn't happen. Couldn't. But here, everything's new, and I want to see it all.
I don't hear idealist a lot. Everyone's cynical.
Back at you, Costa. Why'd you come?
I want to say I'm running from my past, but really running from myself. That'd be a great story. But it's bullshit. I had family, friends, a good enough job, nothing was wrong. I just heard about the initiative and I believed in it. I believed in a new beginning. Still do. I have to. We're in it.
We can't go back. But we're not trapped by decisions a galaxy behind us.
I don't feel trapped. We came from a good place for good reasons. We keep that in mind or steer us right, just like back in Crisis Response. Remember the essentials. A new start guided by the Pathfinder. And team. I'll bust my tail to make that a good story.
He seems to perfectly match the accent of your average Doctor Who single episode character. So I don't buy what he said about idealism, saying like, oh, an idealist, everyone's a cynic around here. Really? The initiative that has you jumping off into space to explore galaxies unknown and witnessing the potential of mankind and so on and so forth, and being willing to take that leap permanently and inescapably, that seems like it'd foster a whole lot of idealists, actually, instead of cynics.
Pathfinder.
We barely covered how you joined. Tell me something about yourself.
Alright, I was a bad student, piss poor cop, great responder. Had a good life, but it'd all been done. I wasn't looking to start over. I wanted to start big.
You were a cop, then crisis response? Couldn't have been long in either.
Didn't have the patience for law, so I figured enforcement. Dad knew it didn't fit before I did. But it got me into hustle. They mostly take vets and retired service. Best years of my life.
You found your place. Not everyone gets that.
I knew it. Glad for it every day. And that led me here.
Tell me about your family.
I miss the hell out of them. Some nights you just cry, right? That's the thing everyone does. Mom Joelle, Dad Calvin. Both lawyers. Met on the Citadel, settled on Earth. No brothers or sisters. That might have been too much to leave. It was traditional. How about you?
Traditional is a weird term for family. Like normal. Who's that describe?
I suppose you're right. I sure didn't keep the tradition. I said goodbye to my mum and dad and got on a ship to Andromeda.
We'll talk later.
I know it.
Yeah, makes sense that people would be overcome with emotion on that topic periodically, because yeah, you're not just far away from your family and never going to see them again because of distance. You're never going to see them again because they're dead. They're all dead now. Unless there was an Andromeda System Part 2 project that launched like 10 years later, and they all survived whatever the hell happened in Mass Effect 3. But even then, they'd be changed forever one way or another. So basically, they have to have... they pretty much have to have probably been on like a ship like a year later, which you probably would have heard about at the time. How do I use this lift? Oh, it wasn't on this floor. That makes way more sense. Okay. Here we go. Is that where Cora's hiding up here? Because I haven't seen Cora yet, I don't think. Oh, she's probably in that... Oh yeah, there's a whole area over there too. This ship is extensive. This is neat. Just I'd check around real quick. There's nobody else up here, nothing to interact with. Yeah, somehow this works slightly better once I put a jacket on. I don't know why.
Pathfinder, making the rounds. Slumming it, huh? Want to see how the riffraff are making out?
Hey, it's a dirty job. Are you the riffraff spokesman?
King, actually. You might want to bow. Otherwise, things might start falling off the Tempest at the most inopportune times.
I'll take my chances. Just want to see how things are going with the ship.
I can coax more out of this baby than some might think, but we shouldn't go too far or push too hard between Nexus stops. For now. It just feels good to be stretching our wings, you know? Locked in idle too long, you start to drift. People, same as ships. Stuck on the Nexus, gotta say, I was regretting joining the initiative.
I doubt you were the only one.
Yes, but it's a new thing for me, regret. I tend to live the way I work. Kind of feel it, do it. Not a lot of close ties, no real sense of purpose. Figured maybe I'd find my true calling in Andromeda. Then I got here and, oops, I just made a decision there's no turning back from. I was going nuts on that station. You can't know how jazzed I was when you showed up.
You mean how jazzed you were that a Pathfinder showed up?
Tomato, potato. You just keep pointing this ship wherever you want it to go, and I'll make sure she can get there. Deal?
Deal.
Huh. He just self-described as somebody who lacks purpose. That's usually how somebody assesses somebody else other than themselves. We are real close to this Mass Effect core. We've been in the same same area as them before, but I feel like that's the closest distance we've ever had, right? I could reach out and touch that almost. Well, I'd really have to lean and fall in.
Long time no chat. What's up?
How tough has it been on the Nexus all these months?
Have you ever eaten overcooked space cow tongue?
A reference to the space cow. The shifty, suspicious space cow. We're never gonna let that go, are we?
Hasn't everyone?
Well, then you know. It's super tough. Wondering if you're gonna die from a critical malfunction? Or maybe starvation? Imagining which would be worse? But hey, you could always take a break from the fear and boredom to dwell on being a part of the biggest failure in galactic history. Maybe even participate in a revolt.
What was your take on that?
I didn't place any bets, if that's what you're asking. Truth is, I don't think anyone made out particularly well. Whatever side you're on, you die a little when your brother, your teammate, becomes an enemy. We traveled all this way, all hope and wonder, and we end up fighting with each other over scraps. It's sad.
What's your social circle like?
I'm good for a laugh, so I know lots of people, but I don't let too many in. My one true friend is stationed on the Nexus. She's the only piece of the Milky Way I brought with me. The more you and I get to know each other, the more you'll probably hear about her.
Seems like we have a good group here.
Well, Veteran Suvia are my girls. Get along well, lots of mutual respect. As far as your Hyperion peeps go, the Doc's kinda nosy. Liam's good for a laugh or two. Cora, she's a bit by the book for me.
Need somebody to keep the zoo in check.
Zoo? You calling me an animal rider? Ooh, can I be a mongoose? They're like cool cobra killers. No, wait, how about a crow? Smart, irreverent, obnoxious. That's it.
I'll take your word for it. What about Callow?
He's a pilot.
Which means...
He flies the ship.
we're leaving it at that then?
Does a Pathfinder know what to do with a dead end?
Does a Pathfinder know what to do with a dead end? That's actually a decent line. That was weird though. I'm pretty sure we were talking about how Cora is a pain, and I was like, wow, I'd hate to see her off the book. And then, but my character had like a reassuring, supportive line of like, somebody's got to keep this whole thing in check, which is like, that sounds like the professional line, but I chose the non-professional, like, shooting this shit, like, oh wow, geez, I'd hate to see her on an off day line. And what I said just didn't even slightly reflect what I chose, unless I misread something.
I hear we have you to thank for getting the Tempest space ready so quickly.
Vetra brings her impossible feats to me. I was itching to get this particular call. Capital R ready. Don't tell her, but the truth is, I fudge reports to come in early, then bust ass in secret to make up for it. Expands the guild legend. Plus, I convey calm and assurance, and the whole team relaxes, which helps them do their jobs better.
Good talking to you, Gil.
Anytime.
So his work strategy is whenever anyone asks him about whether or not something's done, he just pretends it's done and then tries to get it done before anyone notices that it wasn't actually done. I suppose that's one strategy.
Ryder, when you've got a minute, stop by the medbay.
Lexi wants me to stop by. Wasn't I just visiting you guys like a moment ago? Alright, I'll make time. Just for you, Lexi. This is a dead end. I do know what to do with a dead end, as it turns out. I turn around. I know. Revolutionary. I wasn't expecting people to want me back already. So it looks like everybody has two conversations at the beginning. There's the introductory conversation where they're like, ha ha ha, nice to meet you, bye. And then you get kicked out of the conversation. And then there's a follow-up conversation you can do where you actually do the normal dialogue options you're used to having in this kind of game. And here's where we find out whether or not I can find the medbay based in memory. And the answer, oh, there it is. I was about to say the answer might be no.
Need something?
I'll let you get back to it.
I'll be here if you need me.
What? Ryder, when you have a moment, stop by the medbay. Am I missing something in here? That's the respec station. What was the trigger for that dialogue? Did I misinterpret something, or did that genuinely make no sense? She asked me to come here. She asked me to come here. And there's nothing here. Weird. That's really odd. Yep, get up the ladder. There you go. Alright. Back to Captain's quarters then. Or not Captain's quarters, the bridge. Kinda want to double check with these characters. There might be a genuine second conversation with them too, like everyone else. Ooh. Emails are also here. Oh, they've expanded since I was here too. Proud to be here. From Liam to Ryder. Hey, Pathfinder. Just hitting this point again. Our team? No place I'd rather be. Here's where we get to fix things. As soon as we have people on the ground, I'll have eyes on how to get them what they need. The sort of just make it happen is why I joined Hustle, and exactly why I came here. We'll do it. Costa. Liam has included a list of media themed to frontiers. Genres include westerns, space opera, and, oddly, Turian historical dramas. You're the boss, from Vetra to Ryder. Pathfinder, I thought I ought to clarify. I know I said something about back channels, doing what I have to do. Being on the Nexus during the bad times, a lot of us got used to a lot of ugly things, because survival just isn't that pretty. But in the end, I'm here to help you. So if there's anything you don't like, I won't do it. Simple as that. Vetra. Let's get rid of you, get rid of you. In case you're interested, from Lexi to Ryder. Attachment, Krogan Vertility and Aggression. Ryder, attached is my Krogan thesis that I mentioned to you. I know, only 500 pages, but I wasn't allowed to go over. If you get through it, I wrote a longer dissertation for the Citadel Journal of Medicine, around 1,400 pages, that's much more insightful and includes mating diagrams. Lexi. In case you're interested in my Krogan Kama Sutra, I've got a copy for you, waiting.
Anything I can help with?
I take it you work closely with the Nexus science team?
I try to keep in contact with them. We discuss anything and everything we discover out here. After all, many brains are better than one, and Dr. Aridana is worth 2 or 3 at least. I work best when I have other people to bounce ideas off of.
I'm still fuzzy about how we managed to see Andromeda all the way from home.
It confused me too. I mean, the light lag would have made any data 2 million years out of date. So I asked Dr. Aridana, and she told me, well, it wasn't her tech that did it. It was the Geths.
You're kidding? Those killer robots we had in the Milky Way?
Those exact ones. The Initiative obtained data from an array in deep space, a Geth construct. According to Aridana, the Geth rebuilt a mass relay and turned the approach corridor into an FTL sensor.
A what now?
It operated like a telescope, just faster than light. It provided much more up-to-date info. We don't know why the Geth were interested in observing beyond the galaxy, though. Maybe we'll never know.
Okay, multiple questions. Many questions, actually. But for starters, like, what? Yeah, why would the Geth want to observe outside the galaxy? Like, maybe they'd want to observe the Reapers because they knew about the Reapers. That's something that's not outside the galaxy, but it's at least a distant thing. Maybe they're searching for the Reapers in deep space. Potentially, maybe. But also, how the hell would a... That's kind of huge to just find out that, by the way, the Geth just made their own mass relay, like no biggie. And this has never been mentioned before at any point. What? Surely the fact that the Geth made their own mass relay would be a thing that we would find out as maybe, like, you know, Commander Shepard at some point. That's kind of a gap of knowledge. But also, how would a mass relay create a faster-than-light telescope? The way a telescope works is that's just a receptacle. Light comes to it, and that's it. The light comes from a distant location and then comes to you, and that's it. And you get it when it gets to you. So how do you accelerate the light that's coming at you to observe it with less lag? Like, mass relays don't even work that way. Mass relays send somebody away. They also need a second mass relay at your destination to arrive to. So everything about mass relay technology requires bounded pairs in order to function in the first place, and there would be no mass relay on the other side, but even if there was, how would you use it as a telescope? So nothing about mass relays to really give you any reason to think that they'd be used in that kind of context, and nothing about how light works and stuff like that jives with this explanation at all. So this is a lampshade dual end all lampshades. It's just they give you like a throwaway line to excuse the thing that they're saying, and none of it necessarily makes sense, but you're not supposed to question it, and it's built for those kinds of people. Like, oh, how'd this? I'm wondering, what about this thing? And like, oh, this thing, and then you're supposed to just be like, oh yeah, that thing, and then you just move on and don't think about it. It's usually not a great sign for sci-fi writing, but I guess it happens.
Did my dad know about this? Why didn't he tell me?
It's possible he didn't know. The Geth are isolationist and hostile. Using the info, even obtaining it in the first place, probably crossed a lot of boundaries.
Yeah, like logic. And space and time.
What do you know about the Scourge?
We established that it's artificial. Someone put it there. Or they did something that caused its creation. We don't know why. That's still a mystery.
How long have you been awake in Helios?
Not as long as some. Missed the entire mess of the uprising, thank heaven. I was defrosted to replace an exiled member of the team. Not that there was much science to do for the longest time.
So what did you do?
Helped wherever I could. Made plans for science we would eventually do. Spent some time on an investigation, figuring out how long the food would last if the worst happened. Who's essential, who's not, who gets what. I don't want to do that again.
I'm so sorry. I can't believe you had to do that.
With no arcs, no Pathfinders, we had to plan for the worst.
I should get back to things.
Sounds good.
That's crazy to think that there's people still around that aren't even unfrozen yet. Like, it was one thing on the Hyperion, because we just got here, but people on the Nexus are still frozen a year later. At some point, we risk the idea that the Nexus just gets attacked by aliens and blown up, and then half the people don't even get to wake up, even though they were on it for a year.
What can I do for you?
If you helped to build the Tempest, you must know plenty about her.
Just about everything. By memory. It was quite the effort to get her working. The initiative needed absolutely up-to-date technology, which we all had to coordinate, and some of it was rather tricky to acquire.
Acquire?
Buy. Legally and above board, of course. Yes. Sadly, the other Pathfinder vessels were lost when the Scourge hit the Nexus. The Tempest is truly unique.
Oh, so now if another Pathfinder arrives on a different arc, I guess they would basically have to become a crew member of ours, if they even are alive, because they don't have their own ships to go on, designed for them. Unless they just want to slum it.
You know, I haven't actually met many Solarians.
Careful. Depending who you ask, we're conniving spies, genius researchers, or meddling scientists. We have to pack a lot of living into 40-odd years. Everything gets accelerated. Lines blur. I just hope we don't repeat our old mistakes out here.
More like 640 years for you.
I'll let you concentrate.
You know where I'll be.
Oh man, how many Solarian lifespans could you stack end to end then, just for his life alone? That's significant. That's what, like 15 back to back. So one thing's bothering me because I'm about ready to go down to the planet and go look around and stuff. Just I'm missing something though, right? Cora. That's where Cora is. Am I crazy or have I still not talked to Cora? I feel like I never had a proper conversation with her yet.
Nice place you found.
Clean air, plants, helps me think.
Something on your mind?
Maybe.
What the hell was that?
I know that look. It's just my biotics reacting to all this. I don't normally lose it like that. A huntress should have better control.
Huntress?
Another term for an Asari commando. I was one, before the initiative. Some things stick, though. Like losing the old man.
How does a human soldier get to serve with Asari?
Prove your biotics can rip an APC apart, and people get nervous. Funny that. The Alliance found me a cross-species military initiative in a hurry. Sent me to Thessia to serve with the Huntress unit. One of the few places where my powers were welcomed. Your father made another one.
You were his second in command. Were you friends, too?
He was more a mentor than a friend. Prickly old bastard. But I respected that. People treat geniuses like they're made of cut glass. I didn't care how smart he was. I think he liked someone not caring.
I know it's not the same, but I'm a good listener.
I hope you're as good at being Pathfinder. I prepped for years as your father's second. Then he chooses you? An untrained Pathfinder and all this mess to fix? The hell was he thinking?
Is this going to be a problem, Cora?
I don't want a rival. Just answers. It's done. Best I can do now is be your second. Keep your father's mission alive. Then maybe we'll all get what we came out here for.
Well, as far as I could tell, it was his life or mine, and he chose to keep his son alive at all costs, probably because of a lot of paternal guilt and maybe even a fear that the sister won't get to wake up and this might be the only child remaining. And then once he was giving his own life, I don't know if he had the option. Could he? Well, yeah, I don't know. If it was like the idea of like giving something off by hand that has to be given away, like that would make sense for it having to go to me. But it seems like he could have vocally transferred Sam to Cora, since Sam himself is actually located on the Hyperion and not in his suit necessarily. So yeah, I guess it was a choice to like him choosing to sacrifice himself for me and choosing to give me Sam versus giving Cora Sam. I think may have been two separate decisions that could have turned out differently without choosing to let me die.
So what brought you out to Andromeda?
Biotics like this. Thinking like an Asari huntress. I never had a place. Best I could be was a useful freak. The initiative was meant to be different. Will be different if this mission succeeds. So I'm seeing it through. It's quiet in here. I can keep the plants watered while I work. First job, see if there's any news on the Asari Ark. If they made it, we could use some Asari expertise. If you want to talk, I'll be here. Ryder?
What did you do while you were part of the Asari military?
4 years in a commando unit called Talane's Daughters. Part of the Council's cross-species military integration initiative. You probably had a more exciting time defending that Arcturus relay. But we did good work. Peacekeeping is a full-time job, even in Asari space.
What was your commando unit like?
Janae and I were the youngsters. Tethys was our old lady sniper. Kalia patched us up, and Valenza prayed between firefights. Our CO, Nasira, led us all over the Athena Nebula and beyond. A huntress's work is never done.
So you may have picked this up, or you may not know what I'm talking about, or something like that, but just for context here on the dialogue wheel, they have changed something structurally. So for the first 3 Mass Effect games, the left side of this dialogue wheel was information and investigation and stuff that would not progress the conversation, but would sideline it to ask it a question that would then loop back around to the same dialogue wheel screen as you were already on. And then the right side of the screen was generally decisions. So like, you could pass on to the next screen, basically, in the next series of potential questions, or make a decision, and so on. That was generally how the first 3 games treated the dialogue wheel. Now, it looks like the top and bottom things are generally information-related things, matching those 4 emotional states in particular that we talked about, that they revealed before. The, I forgot what they call them now, but like the emotive type, and the logical, and like the dutiful, and the not-so-dutiful, or the more casual, I suppose. Those kinds of things. Meanwhile, left and right are now our dialogue decisions for actually either making a major decision or progressing the conversation one way or another. Not a major change, just something to take note of so I don't accidentally make the wrong move when I'm trying to be thorough with my conversation making, that they've decided to change that.
Who'd pick a fight with the most powerful species in the galaxy?
Themselves, usually. Terrorists, cults, rogue Ardat Yakshi, people demanding a withdrawal from the Citadel. The Asari were spacefaring when our Roman Empire was new. Didn't fix all their problems. Sometimes you need commandos for that.
Okay, there's something. So in the previous game, we treated Ardat Yakshi like some kind of secret. Like, they talked about it as being the dark side of the Asari, and our reporter character that was on our ship with us was refusing to report on what was happening to the Ardat Yakshi because it would alienate their Asari audience to talk about the dark side of the Asari, which implies that the Ardat Yakshi are some kind of secret that most people aren't supposed to know about, which makes sense because you don't even hear about them until near the end of Mass Effect 2. If you even go, then that relies on you actually going after Samara in the first place as a potential crew member. But she's just randomly dropping that bomb on me, and I am apparently not questioning it at all. So I guess it's a little different. Also, by the way, sometimes everything is an informational direction except for the one on the right, because as you can see, left is currently a question again. So it varies a bit. Basically, the important takeaway is that they give you an icon in the middle of the screen that contextualizes each option, and that'll help me better figure out what my options are here, because the language of the dialogue wheel's layout itself is somewhat less consistent now.
After 4 years with Asari Commandos, you must have some great war stories.
Nasira assassinated a Krogan warlord with a pack of playing cards once.
A pack of cards?
Choking hazard, apparently.
Wow. You were in the Alliance before you became a Huntress, right? What made you join up?
My biotics. I was still living on my parents' cargo freighter when they manifested. Untrained biotic power on a starship means accidents, but we couldn't afford a tutor. The Alliance had implants, the training, everything. Old history now. Your turn. Remind me why you came to Andromeda.
I spent years watching pioneers go through the Arcturus mass relays. Off to glory, while I stayed behind. Then Dad's career collapsed. His AI research made him too toxic.
I heard. Must have changed everything for your family.
We needed to start over somewhere new together. Or as together as we could. So, Andromeda.
None of you writers ever think small, do you?
Did you come out here with anyone? Maybe someone you served with?
I had my fun on shore leave. Nothing serious, though. Asari huntresses figure things out, but I was there for soldiering, not romance.
Does that mean fraternization is okay for Asari commandos?
It'll happen, but usually only for one deployment. Asari don't usually stay with each other long term. After your 500th birthday, you learn some self-control.
See you later, Cora.
I'll be here.
Huh. It almost feels like maybe she should have had a backstory where she, like, is, like, her family's gone and she's isolated and she's, like, taken in by Asari and raised by them, and that would explain a little more. Because she cited thinking like an Asari commando as one of the reasons why she's always going to be, like, at best, a useful freak. Which is a weird statement. Like, biotics exist all over the place. Even if you're kind of a powerful one, that doesn't even mean... Just being a powerful biotic doesn't mean you have to be, like, a totally isolated from society type of person. And just spending 4 years with the Asari commandos doesn't seem like it would make you someone that's completely incompatible with interacting with other human beings. That seems rather unlikely. Oh, that's a new one. Is that from Arturian? I think that's what this is, isn't it? Or it's just a... Or maybe it was here the whole time and it's just a general store thing. So can I sell... No? What's the price? There you go. So if I were to sell this, I would make 480. But instead I'm going to reset, because I'm not planning on getting rid of things like that. Just wanted to take a look at that kind of stuff. Okay. Oh, right, the price is listed right under it on the left side of the screen. That's, okay, there are sorting options, thankfully. That works better. Okay. I was gonna... There's a nightmarish number of tabs and sub-menus, but it's something at least. I was a little terrified when I saw this. I'm like, oh, I have to scroll through everything myself? Okay. I'm on board for that. It'll just take an eternity. Oh, wow. One of them's already done and ready for debrief. It was a failure, but they got experience anyway. Okay, I might just do these off camera forever. There's a... All I'm doing is clicking on a thing and there's a percent chance of success, and then you send them, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but there's also no... There's like no penalty for failure. And the rewards are kind of garbage so far anyway. So it seems like busy work. There might even be a phone app. I don't know, we'll see.